Hi there. I think I'm going to review the Terminator. It's one of my old all-time great movies. Uh, it was made in that time period where they were giving serious thoughts to world-ending scenarios because the Cold War was still rolling, and of course computers were starting to become more significantly advanced. So of course there was this idea of humanity creating some sort of advanced AI in the near future, and that AI turns rogue on us. Movie is basically set in 1984, though. The prediction was, I think it was 19. Rough prediction in the movie is in 1997. A machine AI was going to become sentient and decide that humanity was not very good, and launches a nuclear barrage. And of course, at the time, this was considered like kind of like a standard issue scenario. I think it's getting to be a little bit out of date today, but at the time, it seemed like a normal concept. Computer technology in the early 1980s was definitely getting advanced, and I'm pretty sure that more than a few people thought that this was going to lead to some runaway computer scenario. As you may have noticed, our computers are not a whole heck of a lot smarter than they were in 1984. In fact, I could argue that they've gotten worse since 1984 in some cases, but whatever, that's a different story. But yeah, the whole story centers around humanity in the far distant future of 2029. They send humanity and the machine AI send back characters in order to deal with the past, because apparently they need to deal with somebody in the past, somebody named Sarah Connor. And she's going to end up giving birth to the leader of humanity in the future. Of course, in the movie, it's kind of left until the tail end to really reveal who the father figure is in all this, but as it stands, the way the movie starts out, it's kind of a simple point of time travel. Machine turns up, it's a cyborg. It looks kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and so it kind of is one of those films that helped jumpstart his career and make him what we know of him today. So it worked. It works out in the end as a good, decent film. Um, it's just a nice little action movie. It's got a little bit of horror, a little bit of suspense. It's not that hard to get to the nitty gritty. It's a lot of chase sequences. The Terminator has to spend a certain amount of time. Comes back to the past with no very little information about who Sarah Connor is, where she lives, and so it has to go looking through the phone book to find out information. It has to rip pages out of the phone book in order to discover that there's like four Sarah Connors in the phone in the given area. Of course, this is all set in Los Angeles. I can't imagine there only being four Sarah Connors in Los Angeles, but that's what we get. Um, yeah, it's one of those films where it kind of set the standard for films, a lot of films today. I don't think, I mean, given the fact that there's been countless sequels now that are kind of amusing, I mean, they all do a different thing with the storyline, but more or less the story goes is that the Terminator's on the hunt for Sarah Connor, and a human gets sent back into the past to help and rescue her, Kyle Reese. And of course, it sets up the most, one of the more interesting moments in cinematic history in a bar called Techno Noir. And that's it's a beautiful little scene. Literally, the salt shaker saves her life. She actually knocks over the salt shaker and goes down and grabs it. Terminator momentarily misses her. If he had seen her right there, he would have just it would have been over. It would have been over. We'd all be dead. There'd be no future movies. But no, Sarah Connor actually almost saved herself in this film just by knocking over the salt shaker, because Kyle Reese didn't exactly know who the Terminator was. He knew who Sarah Connor was, but yeah, it's it's just one fun little film where they of course have dramatic chase sequences because of course that's all the Terminator is. You got to run away from it. Kyle Reese, I'm sure if he had been able to get access to equipment for it, he could have beaten the thing fairly easily. But I don't think he realized what military hardware is packing in the 1984 timeline. I think that's one of the problems of the film is that he says, well, with these weapons, I don't know if I can beat it. And I'm like, well, I think the reason why you say that is because you don't actually know what anybody has. He packs a bunch of weapons, though, and they do a fair amount of damage. But ultimately, no, they're not good enough. They do stun the thing a little bit, but it's an interesting little film of chase sequences. This is the setup. It's all chase. Half the film is spent on chase sequences. There's a little moment in a police station that I don't think anybody thought that was going to be the police station sequence. Normally, people go to the police to look for protection and for a safe place to be. Instead, in this movie, that becomes kind of one of the set piece action sequences where the Terminator comes rolling into the police station. And the unfortunate desk jockey guy, of course, is the first to go down. And it's got all kinds of great sequences. There's no question of why this became a movie for the next 40 years because it does its job so well. One could argue that the sequel is a little bit better. Terminator 2 is probably a better movie. But I think some people prefer this one just for the downright grittiness of it. It's not meant to be slick and clean and techno advanced. Instead, it's a pretty straightforward chase sequence movie with a few stops here and there. There's a few stops, one in with the police station, and then the other one. What I get a kick out of is that there's a lieutenant at the police station who's trying to figure out, is Kyle Reese's story true? Because he's claiming, Terminator's coming back. He's trying to kill all these Sarah Connors. And of course, everybody kind of laughs at him and doesn't think it's right. But the one police officer, the detective, is like, well, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, actually. And I think he might beginning to believe at the end that this is possibly actually real. I don't know what gives him this idea, but it goes down that it might actually be a real thing. But yeah, in the end, produces cuts between chase sequences and set piece battles. So there's like a set piece battle at the end with them going through a machine, a place where they make I'm not entirely sure, a metal machining shop or something like that. Maybe a like some sort of semiconductor shop. And of course they go through there, and the Terminator gets stopped there. But it's just a very it's one of those movies that got made in the 80s, and it's ironic how much time factor it's hit on it, because I don't think anybody at the time expected it to be quite the long-term hit that it ended up becoming. I don't think it occurred to anybody that this would turn into a like 7-movie franchise. I know that recently James Cameron's talked about trying to make another Terminator, although I'm kind of wondering why he's suddenly showing such interest. I mean, he literally made the first 2 movies, and then after that he didn't care until after Terminator Genesis came out, and that's when he decided to make another Terminator movie, and that was the movie that was supposed to define the return to proper form, and instead I don't think that happened. I actually haven't seen Dark Fate, but yeah. Terminator, a good movie. About a future nuclear apocalypse where machines have to rise up and try to conquer humanity, but ultimately,